was called America. This whole Western Hemisphere was called Azareth.
Right.
What it translates to? Land where no man dwells.
That's
So
right.
that answers your question on how we got over here.
They've been lying to you.
Now, I know you had a question. Come with it.
About Native American people, you believe they were originally in what is Palestine, Israel, whatever.
Absolutely.
How did they get to America before anyone else?
Perfect. Great answer. Yeah, the Apocryphal Exodus. Ezra first or second? Second 13th chapter, right? I'm gonna show you something. We didn't come to this part of the planet by way of the Bering Straits. That's another little white lie. That was a lie. We didn't come by way of that. Of course, because of the system, how it's set up, it's designed to make sure that we, blacks and Latinos and First Nations, never find our identity. Never put one and one together to figure this out. But you know what? Thanks be to the Most High in Christ for the commanding GEN.YAHANNA and the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge. We're now, as a nation, finding it out more and more and more. And if we keep coming out to these streets right here in Norfolk or wherever the Lord had us go, we're going to teach more and more black people, more and more Latinos, more and more Native American, and that we are absolutely 100% authentically the real Israelites according to the scriptures. And that the white man is the devil that is spoken of in this book. Black people and Latinos and First Nations, we are God's chosen elect. What I asked for? Exodus, second Ezra, what?
Chapter 13
and what?
Verse 43.
Go ahead.
Verse 43?
Now, what we're about to read, is you can also find this history in 2 Kings, the 17th chapter. But this, answering the question of how we got over here, read.
Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40.
Yes.
Those are the 10 tribes.
Meaning what? The 10 tribes that were in Assyria under Salmanasseh. Read.
Which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
Meaning what? Well, after King Solomon died, the land of Israel was divided in two. So you had the northern kingdom, which was called the kingdom of Israel, and then the southern kingdom, which was also called the kingdom of Judah. Well, what happened was that the northern kingdom under Jeroboam, an Ephraimite, which people can call today, according to this, Puerto Rican. There was a Puerto Rican king that ruled over the northern kingdom at the time and allowed us to start serving other gods. Allowed us to not keep the law, statutes, and commandments as we are supposed to do, but instead let the people just go ahead and serve whatever God, because we're over here, we can do what we want. That was the gravest mistake that we ever did. Read.
In the time of Hosea, the king.
Meaning Hosea. Hosea or Hosea is the same person. He also would be a Puerto Rican. Read.
In the time of Hosea, the king, whom Salmanasseh, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Meaning what? That we went from Samaria, which is in the northern kingdom, as slaves into Assyria for disobeying. Read.
Verse 41. But they took his counsel.
Meaning what? That we did not want to live there any longer, so we had to take counsel amongst ourselves. We had to come together in an agreement to do something to get us out of captivity. Go ahead.
Among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country.
Into a further country. Right there, you're hearing the procedure of what we did in coming together, and now to go to another place on the face of the earth. Read.
Where never mankind dwelt.
And guess what? Once upon a time, there were no people here. We indigenous are the first people that were right here on this side of the world. What y'all call the Western Hemisphere, all the way from Canada, with the exceptions of the Eskimos. That's another people that came in later on. But we blacks, what you call Latinos, Seminole Indians, North American Indians, Aztecs, the people, the indigenous of what we call today Mexico, Central, South America, and the Caribbean. We were here. We were here with the first people. Then later on, people came after the fact. Read.
Verse 42. That they might keep their statues.
That was the intention, to come over here, and now we find ourselves in a bad situation. So let's do this. Let's come together as a people and go to a place far away where there's nobody there, and we'll start to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. We'll start to do what the Lord say to do. And guess what? We started doing that because if you check the records, we had a harvest, a ceremony of harvest. Our women, when they had their periods, they could not be around us. All this is in you can find it in the National Archives. There are records proving these things. You know, we used to have a roast our meat, like how we did for the Passover. In fact, if you ever decide to go to the Museum of Puerto Rico, there's a big mural that was drawn by a Spaniard, a conflict between the Spanish and the Taino Indians. You probably might not go, I'm just telling you what is there. You had Taino Indians with their version of the Ark of the Covenant and a ram's horn, or their version of a ram horn, going to fight the Spaniards. And if you check our records, that's what we would do before we go to war. We would take the Ark of the Covenant and we would take our horns, and when we were ready to battle somebody, you knew it was coming for you. Well, that's what Taino, what they call Taino or Arawak people, did in the Caribbean. There are plenty of records proving these things. The North American Indians, I know you've probably seen some of their regalia, right? And you notice they have these fringes on their regalia, right? Well, where do you think that comes from? That comes from them, their forefathers, knowing that they were Israelites. They brought them customs over here. No other people were like that on the face of the earth. Read.
That's right. Khan, which they never kept in their own land.
See, I just told you we weren't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments in the northern kingdom in Samaria. Go ahead.
Verse 43, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. Verse 44, for the Most High then shewed signs for them. And
so the Lord now was showing us how to get over to this side of the planet. Read.
For them, and held still the flood.
Meaning what? Those waters in what we call the Atlantic Ocean are very unstable, right? Very wild waters. The Lord made sure that they were calm so that way we could pass through. Read.
Till they were passed over.
There you go, read.
Verse 45, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
So it took that long for us to get onto this side. Why? Because of course we had to stop and get re-up on food and all that. But eventually we ended up here.
And the same region is called Azariah.
And Azareth. Everything in Azareth.
Azareth.
Right. America, before it was called America, this whole Western Hemisphere was called Azareth.
Right.
What it translates to? Land where no man dwells.
That's
So
right.
that answers your question on how we got over here. We originally started over there in the land of Israel. We were the people in captivity. In fact, I wish I could have bought that Egyptian artifact book that I had. Where it has a statue. All right, if you see the statue, he looked like a Mexican, or he looked like a Central American, but he was a slave in Egypt.
Right.
We got records to prove what we say.
That's right.
You have any other questions before I pass the mic?
I'm just a bit confused. I understand where you can get that interpretation, because I think the Bible is interpreted differently between a lot of people. That's how you have all the different sects and whatever they're called. My confusion about it is when God gives or gave instructions to his people, similar to what you're saying, he gave a lot more clear instructions. Like when he was talking to Noah, he gave specific instructions on how big Noah of the ark was. When he told the people to make the Ark of the Covenant, he did the same thing. Why don't you think that he would do the same thing for a ship that would take them all the way to the other side of the world? Or
So we understand. So because we don't have the details of how this ship, the measurements as we could find out about Noah, right?
no.
You're saying that, in your mind, that was instructions or the measurements of the ships that we took to get over here should have been in the scriptures?
I feel like they should have been. Also,
And how would that have changed the narrative?
I just don't.
Hold on, stick right there. How would that have changed the narrative if it was or wasn't? How would that change the outcome of how we got over here? How would that have changed?
I wouldn't change the outcome. I'm just saying that the Bible is very specific in some of.
Are you sure now? You're not sure. That's why you gave that big pause. Don't you think that we know what we're talking about over here? After all, we do this day in, day out. We know our book. We know our history here. We know our law, statutes, and commandments. It's here for us, blacks and Latinos and First Nations, to learn about it, to actually put it into actual practice. You see where I'm going with this?
That's right.
So obviously he wasn't relevant enough for the Most High to even give those little minute details of how many cubic feet this way, how many cubic feet in height and all that. That wasn't the point. The point was that we wanted out of Assyria, and he showed us a way out. And guess what? The same way he showed us a way out, he's showing us a way out of America.
Right.
That's why we out here.
That's
He's
right.
showing us a way to get the hell up out of the white man.
Right.
And his oppressive way of being. And that's what we people, blacks and Latinos and First Nations, that's what we need. We need to know how to get up from under the foot of the white man.
Right.
How for us to stop being unalived by police just because we're driving black or brown. Just because, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, America's like that. It's funny like that. You know what I mean? You just see a black man be like, ugh, you know, white people look at black people, a speck like me, oh my God, look at this Pancho, get him out, send ICE. You know, so guess what? The Most High love his people, and he ain't forget us. And how he ain't forget us, he gonna make sure that we get out of here. And that's gonna be the greatest thing for black and Latinos and First Nations. That's what's the more important thing. Not so much as the details or the you know, the little intricacies of which nail goes where and which screw. That has nothing to do with it. What's more important is that black people, Latinos and First Nations get in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, so that way you can learn how to be what God told us to be, which was the greatest people on the face of the earth. That's why I had the brother read Deuteronomy 28:1. If we would have kept his laws, statutes, and commandments, guess what? We'd have been above everybody on the face of the earth. They would have been under us. And guess what? Here's another thing. Everybody else would have been happy that somebody black or Latino or indigenous ruling the planet Earth. So we understand poverty. We understand suffering. We are an empathetic and sympathetic people. Unlike a lot of devils, they don't understand none of that. Why? Because you're a bunch of animals.
That's
Straight
right.
up and down. You have no conscience like that. To you, looking at a black person, a Latino, or indigenous, you look at us like a stain. No problem. Our king is about to make stains out of this whole country when
That's
Third
right.
World War III comes.
That's right.
That's the reality. He don't want to be, he don't want for black people, Latino, or First Nation to be a part of this empire. That's why we out here. That's our job. To make sure that the Most High get his people back. Let my people go, America, like the way Moses told Pharaoh.
That's right.
The Most High sent Commander GEN.YAHANNA to tell America, let his people go.
That's
And
right.
guess what? If he don't, nothing I can do for America.
Right. Right.
Just pray that the Most High come quicker.
That's
Just
right.
Pray that the Most High send Christ to remove this country, this evil, vile country from off the face of existence.
That's right.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to ISUPK.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West. They're one